Second here. Wonderful. First of all, welcome to week 8. Oh my goodness, we've made it. This is amazing. Thank you guys for still being here. I want to say thank you for your commitment to this program, and also you should be proud of your commitment to your own businesses to follow through with this process. I hope that we can continue to provide some valuable information for you guys, and we'll do so again today. But in wrapping up this 8-week program, there are a few things I would love to ask of you guys, if it's possible. Now, these are all contained within the Academy modules. So if you are having any issues logging into that LMS, Belle will catch up with you afterwards. I would appreciate if you could jump through and make sure we actually finish out this unit. There are 2 things in that module that I do need for you guys to complete as part of finishing this program. One is a feedback survey. As always, answers are anonymous. This is just essentially going to help me look at reviewing the content and things around the Academy for our future cohorts. So that's everything from what we delivered to how we delivered it, how often we delivered it, and any suggestions you guys might have. Now, if there's any topics, for example, that you feel like you wish we had touched on, we can add that to the offering next time. Maybe you come back and learn that instead. We'd be most welcome to have you guys back on board. So that feedback survey will be super important in helping to shape the future of this content and the structure of the Academy itself. Secondly, there is the post-program survey, which is the identical set of questions from the pre-survey. So it's essentially another marker in time where we look at and reassess what your skill level is after consuming all this content and whether or not we made a difference. Maybe we didn't, I don't know. Again, those answers are totally anonymous as well, but they are a crucial part of our government funding. So please, I'm begging of you, please do that one. I have a catch up with the department tomorrow, so I would super appreciate if you're able to get that away today. If not, I will send a reminder at the end of the week if you can just get that done when you're able. Awesome. For now, I'm going to shut up and hand over to Cody, who's our wonderful coach for this week. Cody is an absolute master and guru in all things website, but I will let him introduce himself. I'm going to sit here and take a few notes for myself and for our website during this conversation. So please know that he is going to be delivering some really good value and quality content for you guys. So I'm going to hand over the reins at this point. Thanks, Cody.
Great, Han. Thanks so much for having me. And congratulations, guys, on getting to the end of this program. It sounds like you guys have been doing some great stuff. I connected a little bit earlier on with Hannah, and she was telling me about some of the other sessions that you guys have done. And, well done to you guys for, being committed to growing your businesses. A lot of gyms don't do that. And it's been a, challenging, obviously 18 months for gyms, in Australia, particularly if there's any of the gyms here located down in Victoria. It's been a really, really tough time. But what I've noticed is that, the gyms that are really committed to growing great communities, they've actually bounced back better, as a result of what's happened. I know that sounds a little bit, counterintuitive, but with a lot of gyms, closing down, the ones that, were, committed to the journey of growing themselves and growing their communities, they're actually like the cream's rising to the top. And so, I think, congratulations to you guys for, committing to, being one of those gyms. I think that's really important. So yeah, my name's Cody. I run a company called Lightning Sites. I want to kind of be upfront today. I'm actually really here today just to present value because I actually can't help anyone on the call build websites for gyms. I sold a brand of mine called WOD Sites earlier in the year. About 6 months ago, I sold a website brand called WOD Sites, which I'd been running for about 6 years. I sold it to Gym Lead Machine, which is an American company, and they're fantastic at what they do. They have been sort of like connecting with me over the last few years, and they were interested in kind of expanding into Australia and New Zealand. And so, about 6 months ago, I sold WOD Sites. So I'm here today with just information, really. I can't actually build a website for anyone here. And so there's honestly, all the content I'm giving you today is really just because I want to help. I want to, I want to help you guys. And, Gene and the team at Again Faster are just amazing friends of mine. And so if I can support their customers, that's what I'm here to do. So my session today is about 14 keys to a website that generates more leads than you can handle. So I'm going to be going through and showing you 14 things that you can do on your website to help you generate more leads. So a little bit of background about me. This is my family pre 3 weeks ago. This is about a 6-month-old photograph, but Madison's 18 months old now. Scarlett's 4. She kept me up all night last night. She, I don't know why, she woke up cold and then climbed into bed with me. So that was interesting. And then I've got another one who's Florence is 3 weeks old. So that's my little family. So full of girls. So it's, you know, an interesting, it's going to be interesting when they're teenagers. Let's just say that. My background is not in business. When I started running a business, I was actually a youth pastor. I was running programs for high school kids that were on the verge of dropping out of school. So that was my background. I was doing a lot of public speaking in schools and running leadership programs and stuff like that. And then my wife and I decided to take on a volunteer role in a church on the Gold Coast. And they had no money to pay us, but we really felt like what they were doing in the schools was something that we wanted to be a part of. And so we moved up to Queensland, and I needed to start making some money. So I decided to launch my own graphic design business, and I called myself Design Fox. I designed my own logo. I taught myself how to build websites. I built my first WordPress website, which interestingly at the time I told myself I would never do again because it took me like 200 hours to build the website. You know, world has a funny sense of irony. I ended up, now that's what I do. But I built my own website, started promoting myself, and the rest is kind of history. Basically, I got so busy with graphic design that I started to look around for help, and I got connected with some business programs like the one that you're on at the moment, and I was able to start scaling my business. So I actually launched WOD sites off the back of Design Fox. I started building websites for clients, and then I built a website for one particular CrossFit gym. It was CrossFit Dauntless, actually, in Bendigo, Victoria. That was the first CrossFit gym website I built. And then lots of other CrossFit gyms liked it. And they started to ask me, could you build me a website too? And at the time I was charging about $5,000 to build a website. And a lot of the CrossFit gyms couldn't afford to pay the $5,000. And so they started to ask me, can you just copy the one that you built for CrossFit Dauntless? Could you just copy that website? And so that gave me the idea for WOD sites. I started selling websites for gyms for $300 and charging like a monthly subscription to manage the websites for the clients. And then over the last, 5 or 6 years, I was running WOD sites. We built websites for about 500 gyms over that 5 or 6 year period. And then I launched Lightning Sites, which is my main umbrella company. And we have the same business model where we build a website and we charge an ongoing support package to maintain the website for our clients. So in the last 7 years, we've built over 1,200 websites. So I do know a thing or two about what it takes to grow a successful website. We've generated over 500,000 leads for our clients. And every month we deal with about 5,000 support requests from our client base. So we've been able to offer a lot of support on this particular topic. I do have a great team in the Philippines. I just finished a brand new building in the Philippines. It has 120 seats in it. So we're continuing to expand. I'm still very passionate about all the charity work that we do. I'm still really passionate about young people. So I don't do youth pastoring anymore, but we do have a charity that we've started in the Philippines called Love at Scale. And this is some of the 250 students that we support over there. So I'm still very much passionate about my original passion for young people. It's just being outworked in a different way today. So that's a little bit about me. Now, if I get into the content, I'm going to show you the 14 most important ingredients you need on your website to generate more leads. So I'm going to go through these quite rapid fire. So if you have a notepad, you might want to write down the numbers 1 to 14, and I'm going to go through these. And then of course, at the end, if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer any specific questions. Or if you have a question during the presentation, feel free just to sing out or maybe Han, you can interject and let me know, and I can answer any questions that people have. Okay. So I
can just remind you guys, sorry, these slides will be available on the portal as well. So if you don't catch all the words all at once, don't stress too much.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is you need to map out your customer journey. One of the mistakes gym owners make is that they think that everyone who lands on the website is ready to buy something from you. But the truth is, not everyone who lands on your website is in the same, state of mind. In fact, there's this pyramid called the Buyer's Pyramid, which was developed by a guy called Chet Holmes, and it's in the book, The Ultimate Sales Machine. He talks about how only 3% of your market is actually ready to buy from you right now. 6 to 7% are open to it. They're looking around. They're actively searching. 30% are not thinking about it right now. 30% don't think they're interested, and 30% know for a fact they're never going to join your gym. The problem is most gym websites are really only targeting 3% of people who land on their website. There's no real value for anyone else who's maybe open to it, or at a stage in their buying journey where they're not ready to actually come into the gym. So what we need to do is we need to think about our website as a gateway or a ramp to help people take the next step in the buying journey. So that might involve having some free content. It might involve having some lead magnets, some things we can give away in exchange for people's contact details. It might, it will involve having some sort of mechanism to convert interested people, maybe a free trial class or a free consultation or something like that. And then there needs to be an actual purchase process. And you need to optimize all 4 of these steps if you want to generate the most amount of leads you can on your website. So what you need to think about is like, what is your sales strategy? When I ask most gym owners about that, most business owners, most people give me a very long and confusing answer. If I say to you, how do you sell your gym membership? Like, can you answer that question in a way that is, is it very clear in your mind what your sales strategy is? Most gym owners are not clear. And then that gets translated onto their website. Their website then is not clear. And Donald Miller said this: if you confuse, you lose. When your marketing is confusing, when your message is confusing, your marketing will fail. So if you're confused about your sales process, chances are it's confusing on your website as well. And if people get confused, then they won't take action. So the first thing that we do when we work with a client is we would map out, the journey on their website. We call this wireframing. We'd wireframe out the structure of the website and the sales message, and make sure that we've got the strategy in place before we build the website. Okay, number 2, the next thing you need to do is make sure you build your website on a quality content management system. So there's a lot of content management systems out there. I'm sure you guys have heard of some of these platforms: WordPress, Wix, Squarespace. I'm sure you guys have seen some of these platforms before. The reason why you want to use a CMS is that it's easier for you to manage the website on an ongoing basis. You'll still need a developer to help you. If you're doing like a fully custom website, you're still going to need a web developer to assist you in setting the site up. But once it's set up, you can manage the content yourself. And so it's more affordable for you to manage a website. It's also cheaper for you to build the website initially. And there's lots of people who know how to use CMS systems. Whereas if you pay a developer to hard code you a website, it'll cost you a lot more money. And then you're kind of locked in with that supplier, and they, can charge you an arm and a leg to do work on the website. It's not a great position to be in. So the CMS that we use is WordPress. That's the site, the platform that we've used to build the 1,200 websites over the last 7 years. And the reason that we use WordPress is that it's over 30% of the internet is using WordPress. Literally 30% of the internet today is built using WordPress. It's the largest CMS by a long way. And even large companies, some of the top trafficked sites in the world are built on WordPress. So it's the leading CMS platform. I do get asked by gym owners a bunch about Wix and Squarespace. And these are great platforms if you're looking for something that you can do yourself. However, some of the strategies I'm going to talk about in my presentation today are more difficult on Wix and Squarespace. In fact, some of them you can't do. And also, these platforms are not free forever. Once you want to start adding, functionality to the platforms, then they do charge a fee. So you need to be aware of that. It's free to start with, but it's not free forever. And in some cases, it can turn out to be more expensive than working on WordPress. So yeah, like if you've got no money and you're looking to do it yourself, these are a great place to start. But if you're wanting to really optimize your website and build something custom, then they're probably not the platforms that I'd recommend. If you've got any other side hustles where you're doing e-commerce, then Shopify is usually the platform that we use. But for most gyms, WordPress would be the platform of choice. Okay, number 3, place your website on high performance hosting. So once the website's been built, there's really 2 types of hosting: shared hosting and cloud hosting. Shared hosting will be anything that costs you less than $25 a month will probably be shared hosting. And what that means is you've got a server, and then you're sharing the resources of that server across all of the websites that are placed there. So of course it's cheaper, but the performance is not as good because you're sharing the resources. So if there's other sites using lots of resources, that can impact the performance of your website. And also, if one site gets like hacked or gets malware on it, it can spread to other sites on the server. So it's more affordable, but the performance is not as good. Cloud hosting is what we do for all of our clients, and it's more expensive, but one site has its own environment, and it auto scales up depending on how much traffic is landing on your website. So if you have lots of traffic coming from ads, for example, it can scale up to to allow it to have more resources. And then like, let's say at midnight when no one's landing on your website, it can scale back down. So you're only paying for what you're using, and you get higher performance from it. So the reason that the hosting is so important is because speed on your website is so important. This guy, Sam, runs a company called Pingdom, and he's an expert on speed optimization. And he says this: the average bounce rate for pages loading within 3 seconds is 9%. Bounce rate simply means someone lands on your website and they leave without taking action. So if the site loads in less than 3 seconds, the average bounce rate's only 9%. So 90% of people landing on your website take some form of action. Whereas if the load speed gets up to 5 seconds, we can see that the bounce rate soars to 38%. So meaning 38% of people will land on your website and take no action. You can see it graphed here as the page load speed in red here. As that goes up, you can see the bounce rate grows quite rapidly. By the time it hits 7 seconds, over half the people who land on your website will leave without taking action. So that's why your hosting is so important. So if you want to test your website speed, you can go to this link here, Pingdom Website Speed Test. You can pop your URL in, select your nearest data center, and then start the test, and it will give you a result. And you want to get it less than 3 seconds. Even if you've got lots of videos, like I've got 4 videos on the homepage of my website, the page size is 4.7 megabytes. So it's quite a large, my website's quite long, and you can still get it under 3 seconds if you've optimized it properly. So we use Amazon Web Services for hosting for our customers. So if you're looking at you can't host on Amazon Web Services unless you're a web developer. So you will need a company to help you to do that. And so these are a couple of companies that are reputable that use AWS, Amazon hosting. So WP Engine is very popular. SiteGround's very popular as well. And you can sort of see some of the pricing there. You can check out their websites. Okay, number 4, design a powerful welcome panel. So this panel at the top of the page is the most important part of your website. It's what they call above the fold. Above the fold is a term that used to be used for newspapers. When newspapers used to be sold, nowadays I don't think many people buy newspapers, but they used to be folded in half, right? Newspaper would be folded in half in a pile. And above the fold was where you would put your most important story, because it would sell the newspaper, right? If you didn't have a good story above the fold, no one would buy the newspaper. It's the same on your website. You need to have your welcome panel above the fold, which means the first part you see before you scroll down needs to sell your service and tell people what the next step is. Otherwise, you're missing out on a huge number of leads that land, potential people landing on your website. This study was done by the Missouri University of Science, and they found it takes literally milliseconds for people to make a decision on whether they're going to stay on your website. So you have a very short period of time to make an impact. And so that first panel is really important. So what I would suggest for a gym, for any business, is that you want to have these 4 elements shown on the welcome panel. You want to have some sort of graphic. You want to have some sort of headline and byline that positions your gym, and then some sort of call to action button that tells them what to do next. So here's an example of a website that we've built, and I'll just run you through the elements here. So you can see the graphic on the right-hand side, which captures attention. We've got let's build your dream business. So it's clear, okay, they're in the business of building businesses, and what are the big benefits? So it's clear what they do, what the big benefits are. Want better marketing, easier sales, and bigger profits. So better marketing, easier sales, bigger profits. They're the benefits to me, the user. And what's the next step? Well, you need to join the world's #1 business program. Act now and attend your first business training free. Claim your free ticket. So it's clear who they are, what their big benefits are, and then what the next step is. This was an example of the website for WodSites before I sold it. So you can see here the positioning gym websites that create a flood of begging to join members every single month. Want more members? A great looking website's the first step. So you can see again, what we do is we build websites for gyms. What's the result? You get a flood of begging to join members every month. Want to get started? Click here to book a strategy call. So it's clear what we do, what the benefit is, and what the next step is. And I'm using the video as the graphic there. So here's some examples of different ways you could lay it out on your site. You've got text on the left. You might have a video play button, a graphic in the background. You could have a video in the whole background or an image in the whole background, text in the center of the page. You could have the opt-in for the free trial class or something shown here, and then your positioning. This is one I use a lot for gym. I used to use a lot for gyms, where you've got like a card over the top where people can register for the free trial class or the free consultation, and then you've got your positioning on the left-hand side. So here's some examples for some clients. These are not gym clients, but this will give you just an idea of how you can see. So if you've got like I still see gym websites like this, by the way, unfortunately, like lots of copy and no sort of like clear call to action. You can see if you take something like that and you optimize it with a clear positioning statement, clearer branding and navigation, and then a clear next step, it performs a lot better. Here's another example from a touring company. They do tours of Uluru. And my biggest complaint when I saw this website was there's too many choices. There's like 16 buttons to click. You can't even tell that's a photo of Uluru. So you don't even really know, like obviously you can read it here, but if you miss that here, you don't really know what they do very quickly. And so when we redesigned their website, had a much clearer photo of Uluru. We chose their top 4 performing tours and showcased those. And they had a huge uplift in the number of bookings for their tours as a result of the website changeover. Here's another example. Again, you can see the difference in terms of the structuring of the page. You've got like a clearer call to actions at the top here, phone number, a clear positioning statement, more engaging graphic. So you can sort of see the results. Here's another one for a buyer's agency. Their branding was not very nice. They're leading with a lead magnet. Having a lead magnet is great on your website, but you really want to give them some positioning first. Otherwise, people don't, it feels a bit salesy to kind of just have a sales report at the top there. So we improve their branding, and you can see that, that it's going to perform a lot better. Here's another example. They were building project managers, but you can't even tell what they do. When you see this, they could be a builder, they could be a building developer. It's not really sure what they do, but they're actually a project management company. So they manage large scale developments. And so, we obviously improve the site a lot by having a clear positioning statement. A couple more examples. This is a wealth mentoring group. And so you can see here, these guys do financial advice. It's a much clearer welcome panel, clear call to actions, really clearer copy where the missing link to taking control of your finances. We help you to answer life's big questions and plan the important stuff without the pinstripe suits, stuffy sales pitch, and confusing jargon. Watch our free training to get started as a first-time investor, so you can claim the free training or book a strategy session. So I hope you can sort of see a trend here. We need to sell ourselves on this initial panel. They need to know who we are, what we do, what our big benefits are, and what the next step is. And so that could be a number of things for you in your gym. What are the big benefits to people who train with you? You need to highlight that. You need to highlight the type of gym that you are, and you need to highlight to the people what the big benefit is, and then how they get started with you. And that needs to be shown really well at the top of the page, and your imagery needs to support that. Okay, number 5, ensure your main action is early and obvious. 70% of business websites lack a call to action on their homepage. That's a crazy trend, but it's so true. Most websites that I go to, I couldn't tell you what they want me to do next. Like there's no clear action for me to take. And if you just changed that on your website, then you would get a lot better results. Here's an example that's more related, I guess, to the gyms. And I apologize, I can't use a lot of gym examples because I don't own that company anymore. So I'm using examples from a non-gym, some of our non-gym clients. But here's an example from a tennis club. They have a similar business model to a gym. They do weekly or sometimes multiple lessons for children, and they have a similar sales process. And you can see when they land on this website, when I did some testing on this site, the problem on this website particularly was they have these buttons down the bottom, and they were overshadowing. They're actually bigger than the main call to action button. And then there's these colored logos at the top. People would actually look at the colored logos and then look at the buttons on the bottom here. So we would watch, video user sessions of people using the website. I'm going to show you how you can do that on your website later in this presentation. But people were completely missing the main call to action. So when we rebuilt the website, we had a much clearer call to action. much clearer positioning. These guys have a heap of social reviews, so we put those at the top of the page, and then we made sure that the action we wanted people to take was really early up on the page, and that it's really obvious throughout the entire website. And he had amazing results. He actually had 350 trial classes booked in 6 weeks after launching the new website, which was like 7 or 8 times more than he got in the summer previously, and it was before the Australian Open. So most tennis clubs get most of their trial classes booked after the Australian Open. So they got a great result. I'm not going to claim that all of that's to do with the website, because Kane does a great job of his other marketing, but certainly there was, updating the website had a major impact. And it comes back to making sure you've got a clear and obvious call to action on the website. And then you've just got to drive the right traffic to the website and you'll get good results. Okay. Number 6, create an enticing lead magnet to build your list. Now, for most gyms, a lead magnet might start out with as a trial class, or it might be a free consultation or something like that. So that might be the main type of lead magnet that you have initially. But if you want to improve the number of leads you're getting, remember I showed that pyramid earlier about how some people are not ready to jump in and actually come to the gym yet. So if you have some additional resources, maybe it's like an online health challenge, or some free ebooks, or some free meal plans, or stuff like that you can give away on your Facebook page, on your Instagram, you can put them on your website. It will help you to generate more leads and start conversations with people earlier, even if they're not yet ready to join the gym. So here's some examples, ebooks, health or energy challenges. So online challenges are great. Free Facebook groups. You could start a free Facebook weight loss group if you're focused on weight loss. You could start a free athletes group if you're trying to attract more athletes into your gym. So Facebook groups are a great way. Ebooks, video courses, video training, that type of stuff. But at the very beginning, you want to at least have some sort of free consultation or some way that they can connect with you to talk about joining your gym. So if you don't have that, that'd be the first step. And then these would be additional resources you could create to help people who are not yet ready to jump on a call with you or come in and try the gyms. So there's lots of different types of lead magnets. These are just some different examples that you could consider. Okay, number 7, set up and install a CRM system to nurture leads automatically. So you need some way to track your leads. If we take Kane as an example, 360 trial classes booked in 6 weeks. How many of you would like to have 360 trial classes booked in 6 weeks? It would be a great problem to have. But the problem would be, how do you deal with managing the relationship with those 360 clients? You can't rely on like a piece of paper or like even a task list. You need to have like an automated way that you can help to make sure that everybody gets the information that they need on time, and that you don't miss ringing people when you should and things like that. So you want to build some automations to help you automate the flow of leads. So when someone fills out that form, have some automations in place to make sure people receive the information that they need, that coaches are alerted if there's a trial class booked and they're the ones scheduled for it, things like that. You want to automate that stuff to make sure that nobody slips through the cracks.
Hey guys, I'll just jump in and let you know.
ahead.
Sorry, these previous shots are this tool that we were talking about a few sessions back called Active Campaign. So this is one of those tools that can help you build out these automatic responses.
That's right. Yeah. So the important part is that you need to follow people up. If you don't, then you miss out on sales. And there's a number of tools that you can use. And yeah, Active Campaign is a tool that I use, and that's shown here.
Did you put a mind body logo on your presentation?
I did.
Oh, bad.
These are a number of tools. Look, I know some of these tools are not, we have a lot of complaints. We did have a lot of complaints when I was running stuff at gyms around mind body. So I'm not sort of suggesting any of these tools specifically, but these are just some of the tools that are out there in the market. I know you guys are working on stuff with fitbox as well. So, you can kind of keep the guys updated with that. But Active Campaign is the one I personally use in my business. But the most important thing is you want to have some stuff set up to ensure that you are following up the leads, that someone who fills out a form on your website doesn't get like the cold shoulder. Okay, number 8, engage.
Renee, did you have a question?
Go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick question. So just going back to the lead magnets and that, where you're talking about the free content of things like ebooks and that,
Yeah.
that's something that I'm looking at doing. Do
Yep.
I set that up in Active Campaign, or how do I set that up
Yeah.
for
You can,
if I'm promoting like a download a healthy eating guide or something like that?
that's right. So you'd have to have somewhere where people fill out the form.
Yep.
So you could use Active Campaign has a landing page builder. Obviously, you
Yep.
can build a website. So if you've got, if you've got a WordPress website or even a Wix
Yeah.
website, something else, you could put a
Yep.
form on the website. You could have a page where people can access their ebook or
Yep.
whatever the resource is. They fill out their form with their contact details. Then you would need
Yep.
to build an automation. So when someone fills out that form, perhaps a tag is added, maybe ebook downloaded, and then it would send them an email, with the resource. So
Yep.
you can do it all within Active Campaign. Active Campaign has a landing page builder if you're on their Plus program, which is I think is about $49 a month. So
Mhm.
if you don't have a website that allows you to edit things, like put forms on there and stuff, you could use Active Campaign.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you can build the form directly on your website, you could be on even like a $9 or $15 a month Active Campaign account to build out the automation part. And then you just need to connect the website with Active Campaign, which,
Right.
yeah, we would usually do on WordPress. When we were building websites, we used a form called Gravity Forms, and that has a direct integration with Active Campaign. And so you basically just connect the form to Active Campaign so that when someone fills it out, a tag is added, and then you
Yep.
just build this basic automation. It would have a very similar structure to this, like tag, ebook download tag is added. I wouldn't have a wait stage, but I'd have like send, send email, and in that email would be a link to download the ebook. Then I might have some other follow-up emails. Like I might wait like 24 hours, send them a follow-up email. Hey, what did you think of the ebook? I'd have like an email sequence like, hey, what did you think of the ebook? I hope it really helped you with your, weight loss goals. But the best way I could help you would be to come into the gym, and we can do a, in-body scan. We can have a look at this. We can do this, so you'd basically, have like a ramp that would lead them towards the next step.
Yep. Okay. Cool.
Perfect. Okay.
Thank you.
No worries. So that's Active Campaign. I could do a whole session on that, but hopefully that gives you a little bit of a little bit of information. Number 8, engage a professional to design your homepage. I know this sounds like I'm tooting my own horn, but obviously I can't actually help you to do this, but I would recommend working with a professional web developer is worth the money, because people do really look at your website as the shop front for your gym, and people do base their opinion of your gym based on your website, whether you like it to admit it or not. When they go on your website, they make a judgment about your company's credibility based on your website. And a big part of that is the visual appeal. If your website doesn't look great, if it doesn't look professional, then it reflects on their opinion of your service inside the gym. So you need to have a great looking website. And so I would suggest that you work with a web developer who can help you build something persuasive and something that looks great. So what does it take to have a persuasive website? Well, these are the things that I would recommend you think about. Or if you're working with a web developer, you could, talk to them about these elements. If you want something to be motivating, there's 5 things that you really need to make sure you have on your website. The first thing is you need to connect with the challenge that the person is facing. If someone comes to your website and they don't feel like you understand the problem that they're facing, then they're not going to engage with you. So the first thing you need to do is you need to connect with the problem, the challenge that your customer is facing. So that's the first thing. Then you need to show them that your service or your product solves that problem for them and solves it well. Then you need to show them what are the big benefits to them. If you join our gym, these are the promises. This is the promise that you can be assured of. When you work with us, when you train with us, you're going to experience this, 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 and this. So you want to make some promises around like, what are the guarantees and results we can get for you? And then we need to prove it. We need to show them we've got these results for other people before. It might be, let's say you're using your community as one of your promises. You need to prove to them that you've got a great community. There's a lot of gyms who say, our camaraderie is like unlike anything else, but it's easy to say that. but you need to prove it to me. If I'm going to go to your website and I don't know who you are, it's one thing for you to say that you've got great camaraderie. You need to prove it to me. So you could have some video testimonials, things like that to prove it. And then you need to have a clear process. What is the process to get started? Once you've sold them on your service, how do I get started? You need to show them that you've got a really clear process, particularly for beginners. Joining a gym can be scary. And if it doesn't look like there's a clear process for a beginner to join the gym, then it'll be scary for them to take that next step. But if you can show them, hey, we've got a great beginners program. It starts with a one-on-one consultation with us. We walk you through this. We have this on-ramp program. Then, before we get you involved in, full classes, we've got this. And then even once you join online classes, everything can be scaled. You want to make sure that that there's a really clear process for new people joining the gym. So working with a professional will help you to get these items out of your head and onto a page. So that's where we would usually wireframe out the website. And then these are some of the things that a web developer should be thinking about when they're building a website. You want to make sure you're following the website standards, like the things that people are used to. If you kind of deviate from what's intuitive, then people won't know how to use your website. So like if you move the logo from the top of the page and you put the logo down the bottom, or you put the menu down the bottom of the page, or, you don't have your phone number, clickable, and you don't have your phone number and contact details in the footer. All these things are things that people are used to. And if you deviate from those things, then people don't know where to find the information they're looking for. So I know you want your website to be unique, but you also want to follow the standards that people are used to. And you want to avoid things that are guaranteed to lower the conversion of your website. So for example, music that plays. I don't know if you've ever been to a website where music plays without you asking it to. It's really annoying. Or paid banner ads, or broken page links, or unreadable fonts, or image sliders, pop-ups that are annoying. Those types of things are guaranteed to annoy people on your website, and it leads to less conversions on your site. And of course, you want to make sure that the website looks great. So you want to match your colors with your branding, your fonts, sizing, page layouts, all that type of stuff. So, when we're designing a website for a client, we'll be looking at their branding, their photography, and you want to make sure you design the website in a way where everything, meshes with the brand. Doesn't matter what type of business it is. You want to make sure that the look of the website really meshes with your brand, and it starts with your branding. So if you have a really crap logo, like if you go to a web developer and you say, I want a website that's really inviting, that's inviting for new people. And they go, okay, great. What's your gym name? And it's like, oh, we're CrossFit Skull Face, and there's a giant skull in the logo. And it's like, well, hang on a minute. Like if your logo doesn't match the feel that you want, then it's hard for a web developer to translate that onto the website. So if you don't have a good website, then I would recommend working with a branding designer. These are just some examples of some of our brands that we've done. But find a good branding designer who works in the fitness space and get them to help you make sure your branding's really tight before you look at building a website. Okay, number 9, engage a professional to write your copy. I don't know about you. I'm a pretty decent copywriter. I can write pretty well. But there's something about working with a professional that helps you get all the ideas out of your head. It's not that expensive to work with a copywriter. Like you can get a writer to write the homepage for your website for less than $500, and that copy will help you sell multiple gym memberships, And so if I would definitely recommend working with a copywriter who understands how to write a motivating message, that they understand SEO so that they can write with keywords in mind, and they can answer the right questions. So what I mean by answer the right questions, they need to be able to put themselves in the shoes of someone who's thinking about joining a gym, and they need to make sure that your website answers those questions. How much does it cost? You need to have an answer for that question. What time are the classes? Who are the coaches? What's their social media look like? All these things, we need to make sure that the copy answers the questions that people are asking themselves. Then you need to make sure, yeah, go ahead.
So would you recommend using platforms like Fiverr or Airtasker to maybe find a copywriter?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't. I mean, you might get lucky on something like Fiverr and Airtasker. I mean, I can give you guys, if you need some introductions to some good writers, I can if you let me know, I can ping you some people that are good writers based here in Australia. You might get lucky on those sites. I would just want to make sure if you're going to use someone you've never used before or hasn't been recommended to you, give them a small task to start with. Get them to write a blog article or something like that for you. And then that way you can test the quality of their work. Get them to send some stuff that they've done before. And ideally, they want to have some experience in the health and fitness space. So that'd be my only warning there, I guess. Otherwise, if you need some recommendations based here in Australia, I can send you guys some links.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great. And then a good writer will be really careful with the headlines. The headlines is a part of your website that most people are really lazy with. David Ogilvy, he's like known as the father of advertising. He's like, if you've seen the TV show Mad Men about the advertising agency in New York, it's based on this guy, David Ogilvy. And he wrote this: on the average, 5 times as many people read the headline as read the body copy. Therefore, it follows if you don't sell your product or service in your headline, you've wasted 80% of your money. So most people, when you go on a website, these are examples from dance studios, but if you could think about this for a gym, like a poor headline might be like group fitness classes. Well, it's like a bit of a lazy headline. Or here I've got like kids dance lessons. Instead, I could say something like kids dance lessons that will enhance their skills and encourage confidence. So you want to attach benefits to your headlines because you know that most people, when they look at your website, they're going to read the headlines first before they read the body copy. So if you've got lazy headlines that don't sell your service, then you're missing out on connecting with the customer. So you want to have, great headlines, and those headlines want to focus on the benefits to the customer. So rather than just describing the service, like, private coaching or personal training as a headline, come up with a better, attach some benefits to that personal training headline to make it more engaging. So for example, this is one on Active Campaign's website. They could just leave it as powerful marketing automation, but they've attached benefits to it. Automation gives you back your time, right? So every headline should be connected to some benefits. So you might even consider adding on your website like a benefit section, like why choose us, things like that. And you want to make sure that the copy is jargon free. What I mean by that is you get straight to the point. Okay, number 10, test your website across all devices. So of course, once they're, once you're building your website, you want to make sure that it works well across every device. Because over 70% of people landing on your website will land there on a phone. So it needs to be great on every single device, regardless of the size of device. So you can use a tool like Browser Stack that allows you to test your website across lots of different devices. Of course, you can pick up your own phone and use that to test it out. And then once you've done your own testing, you also need to check what Google says about your website, because they actually have an algorithm that tests websites. So it's not an actual person. And so you need to make sure Google considers your website to be mobile friendly. If they don't, then when someone is searching on a phone, Google is less likely to show your website as a result in those search engines, because if they think that your website's not mobile responsive, they don't want to give their customers a bad experience. So they don't show your site in the search results as much. Okay, number 11. We talked about earlier how to follow up clients who fill out a form on your website. But how do you follow up people who don't fill out a form? They come to your website, but they take no action. Well, we can follow those people up as well, and it's called remarketing. And the way that it works is, here's a friend of mine's website. If I land on Clint's website, if I go to CNN, his ads follow me around. And if I go to Facebook, his ads follow me around. I'm sure that you guys have all experienced this before, where you've, browsed for something, or sometimes you even just talk about it. It's like, and Facebook somehow knows about it and starts showing you ads. So that's called remarketing. The way that it works is a user visits your website and you have tracking pixels on your website. When they land on your website, a piece of code called a cookie is placed in the person's browser. And then when they go onto other websites, you're able to display ads to them. This is a great way to, if you're not doing any advertising right now, this is where I would recommend spending your money. If you've got traffic coming to your website, that is, because if someone comes to your website, they already know who you are. They've already shown that they're interested in what you offer. And so you're spending money on very targeted people. They've already shown that they're interested in CrossFit at least, or in your gym at least, because they've been on your website. But if they haven't taken action, you give them an opportunity to come back and take action. To give you an example, if I send an ad out on Facebook, and I've tested this to get people to book in a free website strategy session, with an expert website strategist. It'll cost me over $20, about $25 to get someone to book in a call, right? Whereas if I send ads out to people who land on my website but haven't booked in a strategy session, I can get people booked in my calendar for like $5, less than $5. Sometimes it's as cheap as $2.50 to get people who visited my website to come back and book in a strategy session. So it's a much more affordable way to do your paid ads. However, you do need to have people landing on your website. If you don't have people landing on your website, obviously this strategy won't work because you'll have nobody to send the ads to. So once you've got traffic coming to your website, this is like my go-to paid advertising strategy. Okay, number 12, set up and use Hotjar to study user flow. So there's this great tool called Hotjar, and I mentioned it earlier. It allows you to watch video recordings of people using your website. It's really freaky. It's a free tool. You put some code on your website and it literally records people's screens while they are viewing your website. And if you want to know what's causing people to leave your website, this is the fastest and best way to do it. You can see straight away what people are doing on your website and why they're not taking action. And you have to put your big boy, big girl pants on when you watch these, because it can be a bit of a kick in the teeth when you've spent this time building a website and then you can see where all the holes are. But if you plug those holes, you'll get much better results. And this is really how we got good at building websites. We watched thousands and thousands of hours of users using the websites we've built, and that was how we were able to improve the way we build our websites. Okay, last two, number 13, set up website security and back up your site every day. Website security is something that's really overlooked. A lot of people, when they build their website, they don't really consider like what happens next, and they don't optimize their site for security. So I've had all kinds of terrible calls over the years where people have rang me and said, "Oh, Cody, I need some help. My website's not working." And they give me access to their hosting account, and their website's gone. And they've wasted all of this money. And they're the most terrible conversations I've had to have with people, where literally, technology has screwed them. They've lost their website, and it's an awful conversation to have. So you don't want to be in that position where your site's been hacked. You don't have backup copies. The hosting provider is not taking any responsibility for it. So you want to make sure that you've got this stuff happening. And so you need to work with a provider who takes security seriously. And so at the very least, I would suggest that you install a plugin called WordFence. It's a free WordPress plugin. I'd recommend you install that. It helps to helps to prevent people from hacking your website. It's not perfect, but it does make a big difference. Okay, last but not least is add social proof and credibility to your website. This is the last one for a reason. It's a really important one. The more social proof you can add on your website, this is probably the biggest driver, apart from maybe people being able to access your website on mobile and things like that. From a content perspective, social proof is like the secret sauce for a great website. If you've got lots of good social proof, so what I mean by that is credibility by association, logos, written testimonials, member stories or member testimonials, case studies, perhaps probably not really relevant for gyms, but social review badges. All of these types of things add social credibility to your business. And when people are looking at it, this is one of the biggest drivers for generating more leads and engagement through your website. Another one that's coming out has started to really be utilized a lot more is live user data. So for example, you could have something popping up on the bottom of your website saying, 15 trial classes booked this week, take action before slots run out, things like that. Or Mary from Kumra just booked a free trial class 2 minutes ago, things like that. So there's tools called one tool is called UseProof, but there's lots of these tools coming out where live user data is being shown as social proof to kind of like create like a sense of urgency for people booking in sessions. So you'll see airlines have been using this, hotels have been using this for a long time, where it'll say, 5 other people are looking at this flight, take action now before you miss out, things like that. So that's it for me, that's my 14 biggest tips. I know they were very rapid fire. I was trying to get through 14 in a short period of time. So I hope they were useful for you, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have, and appreciate the opportunity to share with you guys.
That was a lot. Guys, do you have any questions? I don't know if you saw me madly taking notes in the background too.
I know it's a lot of information. I'm just trying to make sure I give you guys the best of what I've learned over the last 7 years. So I hope hope you're able to take some. Don't feel overwhelmed if you can't implement all 14 of those strategies. Just even a couple of those strategies. If you implement, like even just adjusting, making sure you've got a clear call to action. Making sure you've got clear copy that's focused on the benefits, making sure that it's mobile responsive. Some of these things, just knocking off one of these at a time, even just doing one of them can have a massive impact. So if you can over time fix these things up, then it will have a dramatic impact on the results you get from your website.
Cody, just quickly, what would be your best suggestion as driving people to the website? Particularly, I guess, if you're looking at stuff from social media where most people are, what have you found as the best tool to drive them to the website to then nail this stuff?
Social media is really important. Obviously, people are on there all the time. I think Google AdWords is overlooked by a lot of gyms. A lot of the times, the reason it's overlooked is because they have a crummy website, and so they've been paying money for Google Ads, and then they're not getting any results. But if you have a good landing page for a location, like if I was trying to target, Gold Coast CrossFit Gym, for example, I would want to build a specific Google AdWords page on my website to send that traffic. And then, you can get very cheap click-throughs for Google Ads to get people to click through onto a landing page. So, I think Google AdWords is a great way to drive. Like if you need leads right now, social media is going to take some time for you to build some momentum. Whereas, and really you have to pay now to get the traffic. Like Facebook used to let you get a lot of traffic for free. But more and more, like you have to pay to play really now. So, Instagram, Facebook, there is still some ways you can get free traffic, but if you want to get a lot of traffic, you're going to have to pay for Google Ads or Facebook ads as well, or placement ads. YouTube's another advertising platform that gets underutilized. Everyone's playing on Facebook. Like it's really saturated on Facebook, but not a lot of people run YouTube ads. And so that's another one that you could use. Like if people are, searching for fitness videos or weight loss videos in the Gold Coast area, you could have a video that comes up, before the YouTube ads. And the good thing is, if they don't watch more than 7 seconds, you don't pay for the ad. So if you make sure you sell yourself in the first 7 seconds, even if they skip the ad, then you get like basically free advertising. So I think YouTube is another one that gets really underutilized.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
No worries. Do you have any questions, Belinda? I saw you unmuted before.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say your team actually did our website.
Okay.
So yeah, which is good. It's I think, for anyone that hasn't had a professional, I guess, look at their site, I definitely recommend it. My IT knowledge is definitely very limited. So for us, engaging with your team has helped us no end.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Look, I mean,
now it's changed over, but still good.
Wish I could help more of you now, but there is great options out there. I know Fitbox has got some stuff coming up, and Gym Lead Machine, who bought my company, I know they do good stuff as well. So there is great suppliers out there. I definitely recommend you use a professional.
Since we can't look at a gym website, I've kind of got an idea of a little activity we could do if you guys would be open to it. And Cody, I know you can't consult on gym websites, so I'm curious if anyone would be interested. Should we pull up a website, maybe have a look at it and see if we can pick up a few of these tools and tips and apply it to something in reality? Would you guys be interested in doing that?
If someone wants me to have a look at their website, I'd be happy to do that.
I was going to say, should we do something terrible, throw me under the bus, and we'll have a look at the Fitbox one?
Sure.
because that could be interesting.
Okay.
This is the fitbox site website, by the way. So this is really enabling all of these different tips that Cody has just presented to us. So you can see like we've got this big header here, you've got your clear CTA, you've got all these buttons, our logos top left. This is our fitbox website that we currently operate for the software, which I am aware is desperately in need of a refresh. So I'd love your feedback on this.
Is it okay if I share my screen, because then I can drive and give you some tips?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
What's the website? Fitbox Corp, is it?
Fitboxcorp.com. Yeah.
Okay. And I am happy to look at one of the gym websites. I just can't charge anything to help you guys. So if I can,
right. No. Okay. If you can actually give advice on that, let's look at somebody else's. I don't want to take up your time with mine. I mean, Renee, would you be open to that for yourself? Or if not, we can use Fitbox.
Sure.
It's totally up to you.
That's fine. Yeah. That's all right. Yep.
What's yours again, Renee?
It's crossfitharpu.com.au.
HAAPU?
Correct.
Cool.
It's probably in need of a refresh too.
No, that's okay.
It's the perfect opportunity then.
All right. Okay, cool. I mean, I like your branding. It's nice that you've got the main navigation is pretty clear. I think you could potentially save some space if you moved your logo like to the left here and move these items up. The reason why I want to do that is I'd like to get this over the fold. So I can't see that right now. And there's a lot of space here and here that's really not really that useful. So if we like move this over and move the navigation up, we could even add a phone number at the top of the page or like text us now, to get, a lot of people inquire via text message. So that's another idea you could use. There's also text message services that reply automatically. So you could actually set up a text messaging service where it's like text trial to this number and then they text it and then it sends them all the details automatically. So there's cool stuff like that you could consider, but that would save some space and then that would get this over the page. I feel like these are competing just a touch, like get started today and your first class free. Like both of them are kind of like about getting started. So I would probably pick one, like if we want to have the big button here, we could get rid of this and then have, when they click the button, it opens the pop-up, and they fill out the form. Otherwise we could get rid of that, move the contact details over and just have the form there as, because that's really what we want them to do to get started is book the trial class, I'd imagine. So they would probably be a couple of the main changes there. But the rest of the site looks clean. There's some good photographs, which is good. Some testimonials, which is good. We could make these a bit better if we added photos, so they're real people. But it's good we've got some of that stuff there. Got your Instagram, which is good to have. Got clear contact details. I think the forms here, whenever you've got a form, you want to tell people what happens on the form rather than just saying submit. You'd want to have like register now, for example, for this one, your first class is free, register now. Also, we want to tell people what happens next. You said here we'll get in touch to organize your first class, which is cool. Maybe just add some like specifics around that. So like maybe like we'll be in touch within 48 hours via phone to schedule in your first class, just so people have an expectation of what happens once they fill the form out. And that helps people to be more likely to fill the form out.
Okay.
Join now. What happens if I do that?
I love your little loading. That's really cool.
Started today, beginners. Okay, yeah, so you've got like two separate. Experienced. Yeah, okay, cool. I'm not sure if it's really necessary. If you do you offer a free class for both people, experienced or non-experienced? Do both people come in and do their initial class for free?
Yep.
So
Yep.
if that's the case, I would probably simplify the process. Like if everyone goes through a trial class, then this is a little bit redundant. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Because everybody is going to go through that same process. So you could adjust your language on the join now, like, you know, whether you're an experienced CrossFitter or you're just starting out on your CrossFit journey, the first step with us is to book in a trial class so we can meet you. You can check out our facility. We can help, you know, understand your goals and get you started, you know, training with
Yep.
CrossFit Hub. You know, you don't need
Yeah.
necessarily to get
Okay.
them to fit, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. Totally understand. Okay.
So there, I mean, there are a few like little tweaks. I mean, there's other stuff, of course, like other things I mentioned in my presentation, but they would probably be the ones that I would focus on adjusting first.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think that would help you out.
Okay. Thank you.
No worries.
Yeah, Renee, your website's much prettier than ours.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate you having me, Hannah. Is there any other question, guys? Otherwise, I've got to duck off in a few minutes to another appointment. But yeah, I hope I was able to give you guys some great value.
Well, is here. Come on.
Thank you very much.
No worries, Belinda. Anything from you, Shalana? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, that's right. No, we don't have a website yet. We've only been open in our space for about 8 or 9 weeks. So I will be building ours through Fitbox. So this is all really good information so that I can sort of get it set up right from the start.
Great. Well, I know the guys are across this training. I know Jean's had asked me a number of questions over the years about how do we do the website stuff. So I'm sure the guys will be able to look after you really well.
Yeah, I actually had you recommended to me yesterday.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, really?
For websites. Yeah, my old boss from CrossFit Tempered came over and had a look at our new place, and I was talking to him about websites, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I remember I got Cody from Websites to do mine." He's like, "I think he's just sold it, but you could probably get in touch."
Yeah, he's a great
I'm like,
guy.
"Okay, cool."
Craig, yeah, Craig's a nice guy. Oh, I appreciate that. Well, nice to meet all you guys, and nice to see you again, Renee. And
Likewise.
appreciate you, Hannah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for all your information.
Thanks so much, Cody.
Thank you.
Okay.
Cody, I'll let you duck off, but I'm going to keep you guys here if that's okay.
No
For
worries.
my actual academy people.
Okay, bye, Hannah. Bye, team. Bye.
I'm going to take myself off mute permanently. Just in terms of actually showing what you just said, it's like the perfect thing that I actually wanted to show you guys quickly. And I touched on this last week a little bit and mentioned that Fitbox sites has just been launched. I kind of just wanted to show you a little bit of what that looks like. Belle, it sounds like your site's all sorted. Renee, you know exactly where you're going. Shay, you're already on board. But for us, obviously, a lot of our business and clients really come to us through referrals. So if you might know anyone who's looking for a website upcoming or looking to get those refreshed, and if you have this in mind, perhaps when you might be chatting to them as other gym owners, I would love if you could pass this on to them. But essentially what we've built out now, and whether or not you are a Fitbox user or not, you actually have access to this. So when Cody is talking about websites, the exact same style that he would produce gym websites on, we've picked up in the same way. So in a sense, we've nearly replicated his previous business model in having this template set for a gym website that anyone can purchase and have for their own gym. So in the same way, it's set up with all these beautiful graphics and CTA buttons and things like that. There's a lot of information that you can have a look at on this particular website. Sorry, this isn't the site itself. But within the information website, anyone visiting this can click on demo site and they can get an idea of what this website would look like for them. So this is what we've produced to say, you know, this is what that might start like. So we probably should move this logo top left based on what he was saying. We can see our free trial class form is probably a little low potentially. So this has made me think about a lot of this stuff too. But yeah, so these in terms of getting started and in terms of pricing, I think is at a really affordable point. So to build out something like
that's doing them.
Pardon me?
Is it Gym Lead Machine that's doing it, or is it?
We're doing it locally.
Okay.
Yeah. So I believe they would technically be considered a competitor to us now. So we produce these ourselves or through our team and our technical team. So want to get rid of that old logo myself because I find them popping up everywhere still and it kind of bugs me. But in terms of pricing, it's a pretty affordable entry point. Shay, I'm sure you're familiar with this, but we do a standard setup for $500. There's a fully customized one that actually includes some copywriting as well. So as Cody mentioned, that's quite important in terms of your content. And then there's an ongoing maintenance cost as well that can be wrapped in. So for anyone who is a Fitbox customer, you can put your credit towards these costs. Or if you're a non-Fitbox customer, you can also just do this ongoing yourself. So I'll drop the link in.
Can we change our website over to these guys? Is it like,
yeah, so that's I guess the beauty, and again what we've been trying to do with Fitbox is wrap in as many of these costs as we can into your credit. So these are costs that you're spending anyway. You know, you've got this beautiful website elsewhere. It's like, hey, you might as well just use your credit on it, and then it becomes less of an expense to your business. So we've actually had this product for a little while now. We've only just gotten around to relaunching it in a way that we actually go, right, like, come at us, let's go. So we decided some of our content around how it presents, and there'll be a few more things coming online for this very soon, including another thing that Cody mentioned, email automations. So we will in the near future have the ability to allow you to allocate credit towards us setting up those emails for you, including those automation ones. So somebody says, I want your free ebook, and puts in their thing, and it sends that email off. You won't have to have that as a hands-on process. It all just happens in the background. So there's a few exciting things coming, and it's probably lucky that you guys are all Fitboxers, so definitely helps. We lost just somewhere on the line there, so I'm hoping that she's
Hannah, how far away is that stuff?
I need to check on that myself. Last time I heard about it, it was looking at early next year.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, I'd have to go touch base with Gina and find out. For sure, we will be communicating it out to current clients first. Absolutely. Pretty excited about that. Cool. So yeah, awesome. Lovely.
A lot of time saved.
Oh, 100%. And money as well. I mean, I don't know if you'd be willing to answer, what your current website is costing you a month for each of your gyms, apart from your fare.
Paying like $250 more.
Yeah. So that could just be another $250 back in your pocket.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's exactly it. And when you look at, website hosting is an additional cost, maintenance is a cost, building is a cost, and then whenever you want to refresh the content, you must be on WordPress then, is that right, Bill?
That's why I got a professional to do it.
Oh, yeah, okay, awesome.
I've got no idea.
I can speak from my own experience in terms of WordPress. So my prior role when I was living in Melbourne last, I walked in, had no idea how to use WordPress. And it turns out 4 of my championships were based on WordPress. And I literally YouTubed and learned everything through YouTube and WordPress. Like because there's such a high volume of sites on that platform, it's actually super easy to learn. So you don't always need to have a separate developer, to jump in and do.
They do all the updates for us and everything. I just email them and.
Oh, okay, cool.
All for us.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, awesome. As long as it's a low enough cost that you're happy to accept that. So,
That's the yeah.
A lot of owners have that like DIY kind of mindset where they're like, oh, I want to learn this. And then there's some people who also have full-time jobs. So there's definitely a mix up. Amazing. Cool. All right. Did we, I was going to say, we didn't just finish on time, did we? Of course not. It hasn't happened once. All right. So guys, just a reminder, if you could please, the feedback form on this module and also the post-academy survey. In my head, I'm already thinking that we should do a session on Active Campaign because I think we've touched on a few times how powerful that tool is and what value that has. That doing some kind of link up on that would be a great thing. But let me know what you guys think in terms of what was covered, what you'd like to see more of, what you think we could do less of. I would super appreciate your feedback. Sound good? All right, well, if I don't speak to you before, have an amazing Christmas. Have an awesome holiday. All our Fitbox and Academy love to yourselves and your families and your fit families as well. And I hope to speak to you guys soon.
Thanks so much, Hannah.
Thanks, Hannah.
Thanks, Hannah.
See ya.